we have so many people that are literally trapped by the law. So now they're afraid. They're afraid of being detained, afraid of being separated from families in the detention center. And I really, really want to say this because I know people don't know it. The detention centers are really, really bad. They are worse than county jails. I know for a fact from all my clients over the years that the detention center conditions are worse than our county jails. I have told family members over the years when they were caught, because they were arrested for something silly, nothing violent, something like even let's say the most silly, which would be unpaid tickets. They're picked up, they figure out, oh, you don't have papers, we're going to turn you over to ICE, which is what happens. I mean, you end up in the jail, ICE walks through, oh, we're going to put you in removal. So they end up then in detention until they can bond out if they're eligible for bond. And I've actually even told people, don't pay their bond at the city jail because they're going to be in worse conditions. Let them finish whatever they're doing there because the conditions are going to be worse at the detention center.
Where is, if you know, I'm sure you know, but where is the detention center in Houston? Like, because the jails are full. And I know that because I used to practice criminal law and I still talk to my criminal defense lawyers and the jails are full, so they can't house them there.
No.
So is there another jail facility that I don't know about?
We've got, there are the immigration detention centers, which, as I said, have very bad conditions. They are privately owned, so they have a vested interest in keeping people and getting people and keeping them there the longest because they make money from it, which is, there's something so wrong about that. But anyway, they are in Conroe right now, the closest ones. And there's two in the Conroe area, and there's one in Liberty County, if I recall, although I think they were using some regular jails and keeping people there. But there are two immigration detention centers in Conroe. There was one in Houston up near the airport, and, I think I heard that they're thinking about opening it. Or I want to say they lost the lease on that one. But anyway,
they're two. I mean, they have to get as many facilities as possible now.
Okay, they're trying to build more, and they're getting, I remember right at the beginning of the administration, they have bought land here in Texas, don't remember where now, to start these and to do probably even tent cities. They're not good. When they've done those tent cities in the past, at the border, they were really poor conditions, even worse than what they're experiencing at the regular detention centers.
June, 19th, and it's 100 degrees here.
Oh, August? Are you kidding me? Can you imagine July and August?
No.
In a tent? Not good. So, but what I was going to say, to your point about maybe different plans. Again, I kind of mentioned it. Congress would have to do away with the 10-year bar. People wouldn't be trapped here. Here's what's interesting. This is what makes me think sometimes that Congress is not that interested in fixing the issue. Now, clearly, this administration doesn't seem to care that there are people that could get their green cards who are trapped. But all those people who are eligible for the visas, for their immigrant visas, who can't leave because if they leave, they don't want to be separated from their families, so they feel trapped. They're this close to getting an immigrant visa where they could get a green card. But if they leave to go to their consulate, the American consulate in their country, to get a green card, they trigger a 10-year bar. And they can't be separated from their families for 10 years. And they're probably working with a made-up number or getting paid in cash, but they're supporting their families. So many of them are paying taxes they'll never see. They're using, a friend's or their child's or their own or a made-up number. They'll never see those taxes. They're paying into the system and into the Social Security system. We'll never see it. But they don't want to be separated for 10 years. So if we could do away with that 10-year bar, here's what's interesting. I would tell you right now that we would see easily over 1 million people be able to go get their green cards, their immigrant visas, come back, get their green cards, and now they would be here legally, totally legally, permanently, and paying taxes properly where they're getting credit for it. Okay, no one seems interested in that.
Yeah, it
all they
doesn't
have to
sound
do
like-
is
I've
take away
never-
the stupid 10-year bar.
Yeah.
That 10-year bar has not kept anyone from entering illegally. What it's done is trapped a bunch of people who are this close to getting their green cards and they can't leave
Yeah,
because they
it
don't
doesn't sound
qualify
like
for the waiver. That's
going to happen
insane.
anytime soon. Yeah,
It's kind of insane because every time I've gone to meet with Congress over this, I say, one of the easiest fixes is just take the 10-year bar away. Or wait, here's a really good one. This is a really good one. These are two things that existed in the law before, and they just went away in one went away in 96. The 10-year bar created huge problems that I think were unintended, and then no one cares to fix it. The other one was, remember I mentioned what sunset in April of 2001?
Right.
That was called Section 245I of the law. What that section did was you paid a penalty fee to fix your papers inside the United States if you had an immigrant visa available. That allowed employers to sponsor workers who are here illegally. It helped all the family members. Obviously a brother or sister, they're still going to have to be waiting over 20 years. But it helped people fix their papers here. Here's the best part. It was a money-making bonanza for the Department of
Right.
Homeland Security.
Right.
Okay? Seriously. So and people would pay, the penalty before was $1,000.
Right.
Now I can tell you, and I've talked to Congress people about this, or their people, and I think that people would pay $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 might be pushing it, but think about the money they would make.
Right.
I mean, it would be tens of millions of dollars, and then they could use that to do whatever they want
That's
to do
what I
at
was
the
saying.
border.
They can fund the.
Yeah, they can
keep
fund
making it
whatever
better.
to protect us,
Right.
to protect us from all those bad people.
Right. Right.
And
Makes sense.
those bad people are a tiny, tiny little percentage. And when they have done record keeping or, done studies on this, they have found that immigrants are a tiny percentage of criminals.
Yeah.
Tiny percentage of immigrants committing crimes. But
Well, there is
then
no.
again,
That's
you've
a
got,
made up. That's a made up category. The migrant crime thing that Trump always talked about. There is no data on migrant crime. That there is no data for that.
No, but there have been some studies done and some good ones, and I wish I could tell you because I would. Maybe I'll find one. I can email it to you, and you can just make sure it can be disseminated sometime, where they're a tiny percentage.
Yeah, it's a tiny percentage.
Yeah, the majority of immigrants just want to come and work.
I have a weird question that you may or may not know the answer to, but that the gold card that they were talking about, like if you pay $5 million, you're automatically allowed in the country. And is it real?
Those people should
does
be
anybody
vetted.
does anybody have that or no?
Yeah, okay. I haven't seen regulations making it, like how do we do it? Like if I had
Right.
somebody come to me and say, hey, I've got, was it 5 million? I don't
Yeah, or
remember what
something
it
like
was.
that. I don't know.
Something, I don't remember. I truly don't. But if I had somebody coming, hey, I've got the money. First of all, I've not seen any regulations. I haven't seen anything in the law for it. Maybe they could fit it under fifth preference, employment based, which now there is an investor visa available, but it's for people who are investing like 1.8 million or 1.3 million. The amounts used to be 1 million and 500,000. Now I want to say it's like 1.2 million and 800,000, something like that. But even that, there are all these rules. I've decided, I used to do that visa when I was a partner at a big firm. With my own small firm, that's the only type of immigration that I don't do. And if somebody really wants to do the fifth preference, I will refer them. I'll do a consult, talk
Right.
about all their options, and they may be eligible for other types of options through employment-based. But if they really want to do a fifth preference investor one, I will refer it to colleagues. But I will tell you what, one of the reasons I really didn't want to do that, it's just so much hassle trying to like follow the money, prove that it's clean money, etc. Because it's not easy. It should be vetted. So if now he's created this golden visa, whatever, gold
Right.
card, whatever, they have to be vetted. How do we know that money isn't drug money? How
Right.
do we know that money isn't? They are already vetting the other investors.
Well, I would
they
think,
should
like-
vet these investors.
Right, but even let's say a cartel that has access to however much money they want, right? They're like, okay, you 5 guys, we're gonna sponsor you, and you're gonna go.
Yeah, no, I mean,
or whatever.
no, that is my fear. Of course,
Yeah.
of course, I thought the same thing. I totally thought the same thing. I thought, wow, how are they going to be vetted? They need to be vetted because for the regular investors, that is really very closely monitored. And it has to be for that reason.
Yeah.
Where is that money coming from? It's foreign money. Is it cartel money? Is it whatever money? Is it terrorism money,
or
right?
human trafficking, or
Exactly,
whatever,
exactly.
Right,
Bingo. No, you're absolutely right. It's just shocking. I'm telling you, there's no thought going into this.
Yeah, I didn't
none.
think so.
And a lot of, God, I want to say lying almost, although I don't even know if it's intentional. So, misrepresentation.
Right.
Because saying, oh, yeah, we're going to go after the criminals. And then saying, oh, well, they're all criminals.
Right.
And then going, oh, we're going to do this visa, this gold visa. But you don't really worry about if they're serious criminals?
Right,
Hello?
right.
Something is
yeah,
wrong.
It doesn't make sense. One other question. Are there any scams going around right now with regards to immigration that people should be aware of?
Yes, that's a great question. I did hear something about that. I heard that, and I know that a lot of nonprofits have been trying to help people, and I've actually been supporting a lot of the nonprofits and helping to give them advice and information. But they've been wanting to help people do powers of attorney for their children, for their property, for their bank accounts,
right,
whatever,
in case they get deported,
in case
right.
they're detained. Yeah, which makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, makes total
Yeah, and I've had colleagues that had done that kind of work before. I'd never done that work. I mean, I'm an immigration lawyer. I mean, I've even gone all the way to the Supreme Court, but I don't know about powers of attorney. It's not. So, I've had colleagues who do family law and things like that help create documents and translate them and help people. But when we were doing this, and I know that some of these organizations are still helping to have meetings at churches to help do workshops for this. But when we were doing this, we heard that there were apparently notaries. There are also always there are notaries in people's communities
Right.
who practice law without a license. Tell them, I don't know if they really want to help or if they are trying to take advantage of people,
Right.
but they make a lot of mistakes and get people in removal proceedings or take their money and either don't apply or
Right.
apply for something they don't qualify for because, the notary told them what they wanted to hear. When they came to me, I said, oh, I'm so sorry. During,
Yeah.
under our
So the
current law, you don't
scam, I
qualify
guess,
for anything.
the
And the
scam
notary
is-
goes, yeah, pay me $5,000 and I'll do blah, blah, blah.
You're
Well,
right.
we've always heard that. So I mentioned that because that's a scam that I think is ongoing. And in Latin American countries, a notary is somebody like me or you, a very experienced attorney with a lot of experience and who owns a firm or is a partner at a firm. But we know that that's not what a notary is here.
Right.
But since they think that, they get taken advantage of. But I did hear that there were notaries saying that they would do powers of attorney for people and then stealing everything, like turning it over to themselves. I
Right.
don't know how widespread this is,
Yikes.
but about a month ago, I was
Yeah.
told by one of the churches or one of the nonprofits that they'd heard about some notaries or notary, I don't know, doing this to people. So when I've been advising people or doing consults, I do tell them to be very, very careful,
Yeah.
to first of all try to go to places where they're doing it for free, helping them
Right.
for free,
Yeah.
or their own attorney if they're going to do it.
I
and
mean,
help
even
them.
that, though, is kind of scary because if
Yeah.
the notary's like, well, I'll do it for you for free, I'm just helping
Well,
people
that's
out.
scary
and then they,
too, right? But they
put
take
it all
everything.
in their own name.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yes. I mean, it's very scary because people have a hard time finding the attorneys, knowing who the good attorney is. A lot of my work, back when I was at Catholic Charities from 90 to 2000, and even now, a lot of the work I do is fixing things that notaries did to people. Back then I would see it, and now I still see it. And, back then I think people were going to see notaries because they were cheaper. Now I see notaries charging, when I find out how much they charge,
Yeah.
my goodness, charging more than I do,
Yeah.
or the same,
I think
So
maybe,
it's really scary. And you make a good point. I could see a notary saying, "Oh, I'll do that for you for free," but they're stealing everything.
Right. I think
It's a scary thing. I don't know. I mean, people should try to do it, I guess, with their churches.
Yeah,
Although, one of my clients is dad. I had to meet with him about something the other day. We had to ask him questions, find out what he had done, something that the family doesn't know, something that happened that he did when my client was a teenager. And, he basically told me it was someone that he had met through his church.
Yeah.
And it was like a notary who apparently did stuff that they didn't qualify for, and yet they magically got socials in the mail. And we don't know how they got social security numbers.
You just learned something new. Attorney 911, the podcast, with attorney Ralph Manginello. We hope you found today's conversation insightful and helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode, and share it with family and friends who might benefit from the things we talk about. A new podcast launches every week. That means you get more legal tips, real-life cases, and expert advice. This is Attorney 911, the podcast.